My dear brothers and sisters, it's another sad moment, very, very sad moment. And that's why we say whatever we go through in this world, let's just pray for the things that we feel we cannot change, we cannot do anything. All we look up to is we look up to the Lord. And it is only the Lord that can be able to, intervene and change things for every one of us. It is so sad that in Awoken that we hear in some parts of Africa, that is in Nigeria, that people of a Christian faith are actually being attacked by a Muslim people. They are those terrorists or maybe militia who are advocating to be Muslims, and they are eradicating anyone that is professing to be a Christian. And there is a village in which was attacked, and this village was attacked. About 50 people, those are 50 Christians were killed in that village. Others ran away, and there are some who are actually pregnant, women who are actually massacred with their children. Very innocent children were actually massacred. And this is so sad, very sad. In the other video, I actually spoken of the war that is happening in Iran. And we spoke that everybody needs to advocate for peace and all that stuff. And then you find again, in the same place, you realize that at the same time again in some parts of these countries, some parts of this continent, that is, you find in a country like Nigeria, Christians are being attacked. And nobody's saying about it. Nobody's talking anything about it. Everybody's silent, including even the government of Nigeria is silent. Now it's only international news that are actually projecting this, which some of them have been actually, profiled to be biased, and they've been profiled also to be spreading propaganda or something. But you see, in today's technology, propaganda can never actually last. Propaganda cannot last because there are quite a number of ways in which evidence will come, and it will show that in actual sense this is happening. I used to see one of the Americans on TikTok. He's always advocating for peace and for the protection of Christians in Nigeria, and especially northern Nigeria. And this American always comes out on TikTok and speaks over what is happening and all that stuff. But so to speak, my wonderful brothers and sisters, it is true that Christians are being murdered. Christians are being killed. Now they've seen that the only way they can just stop this faith is by ensuring that they murder Christians. And that is their agenda. That is what is happening in northern Nigeria. And without further ado, let me just show you this clip that the CBN News actually captured. Please check.
Another 50 Christians have been gruesomely murdered in the ongoing genocide in Nigeria. Frank Uto, a Nigerian lawyer and native of Yelawata, joins us now. Frank, these 50 that have been killed recently, you were talking with me before we got started about the manner in which they were killed. It wasn't, a bomb or something. This was a gruesome event. Can you tell me how these 50 people died?
The way they kill our people is in the most horrific, the most gruesome, the most cruel manner anyone could ever think. It will make even the devil to shiver. Because what they do is that when they come around, you run into your hut, into your house. And then what they do is that they will now, cycle the house with fuel. They will lit fire on the house. And then when you are coming out, they will now hack you down with machete. So they're cutting you as if they are cutting a piece of wood. Not as even they are killing a wild animal. You don't even kill a wild animal that way. So they'll bust your brains with machete and you see spillage of brains. I believe you've seen some of these very horrific pictures. They are so graphic. I have hundreds of them in my phone right now. These are my siblings. These are my cousins. These are people I know so well. I know almost 80% of these people. As a matter of fact, some of them, I spoke to some of them a week before that thing happened. And anytime we speak, we talk with dread. We know that we are living on time bomb. We know that these things will come again. So every time I try to give them an advice, to keep their eyes open. But that was what happened. There are two of my aunties who were pregnant. One was pregnant with a twin. With twins. They split open the stomach, they removed the twins, and then slaughtered the twin.
What?
So that's what's been happening. And when they are doing this, they begin to recite Allah Akbar, which unfortunately has become an internationally recognized slogan and motto for terrorists. It may have good intention. The words in Arabic says Allah is great or something like that. But unfortunately, it has become the most universally accepted slogan and motto for jihadists. So they'll be slaughtering these people and be chanting Allah Akbar. That's what we've been facing. And unfortunately, the government of our country, the government of our state is doing extremely nothing about this because they will just want to be politically correct. Because the kinsmen of these people are the same people who constitute the top echelon of the Nigerian political structure, business structure, and institutional structure. So you find a lot of our people who are so reluctant to do something about this because they want to be politically correct. They want to have at every time political benefits and personal aggrandizement. So that's what we've been facing. So like I said earlier, we lived with this. We've been living with it before now. Do you know that before the incident, I'm sorry, maybe I may be digressing, but before the incident of June 13 and 14, before that massacre, 2 weeks earlier, a retired army officer in my own village of Yerwata, who was my late father's very close friend, was in his compound just going through his phone that night, and because of the beam, the light of the phone, was shining on his face, these jihadists came to his compound, shot him on the leg, so he ran into his room. So we're very poor people. Our houses are made from muds. We don't have houses made of strong bricks. So even when you kick the wall, it will break. So many of our houses, we don't even have window frames. So like in his own window frame, what was there was just a mosquito net. So when he fell into his room, they now went through the mosquito net, cut the mosquito net, went into the room, butchered him, butchered his son who was sleeping earlier, and butchered his wife. And then they took some stuff from the house. And do you know, the next day in Uday, a neighboring community to us, that's our ward headquarters, Uday, which was like 5 kilometers away from Yerwata, a village woman was going to the farm to fetch firewood, and she saw one of these jihadis, the Fulani, with blood stains on his clothes. So she went back and raised alarm to the village youth that she saw this Fulani guy trying to kickstart a motorbike that stopped. So he was trying to kickstart it, and when she walked past, she saw blood stains all over his body and even on the bike. So that is a ground for suspicion, of course. So immediately our youth ran to the place, met this guy, gave him some little beatings, and they were able to extract confession from him. He confessed that they carried out an attack in Yerwata, that's my own village, which was like 4 kilometers away from the village he was caught. They carried out an attack on Yerwata the previous night. They killed that retired army officer, and this bike was given to him by one of the military guys in Uday. A detachment of military. So one of them is his kinsman, is a fellow Fulani, is a Muslim officer. So the youth took the bike with him and went to where the military guys are stationed and accosted that particular military officer. His name is Suleiman. and said, look, this is what you've been accused of. So the Suleiman gave a very preposterous kind of excuse by saying he gave out the bike to this guy yesterday because the guy came here and said one of his brothers was bitten by a snake. And so he gave him the bike to take the brother to the hospital. Now you don't know that guy, but you release your bike to him. Who is that his brother who was bitten by the snake? No one could see that person. Which hospital did he take him to? None. So we reported this to the military top echelon in my state capital in Makurdi, which was also headed by another Fulani. That's how these guys are strategic. By another Fulani officer. And that was how the story died a natural death. So far, nothing has been done about it. And so far, we've even forgotten about it.
Wow. Well, Frank, unfortunately, we're going to have you back on because these stories just keep happening. I'm getting really frustrated. I can't imagine how your frustration, just that this happens day after day, week after week, month after month. We just did a story about this a few days ago with Masara about a different incident. This just keeps happening. But, there is something, lastly, again, we're going to have you back on. But lastly, there is an event happening in D.C., which is, again, at least a small step in the right direction. Can you tell us what's happening in D.C. in closing?
Okay, so the groups are the truthnigeria.org and Equipping the Persecuted, organizing a seminar, a meeting on exactly what is happening in Nigeria, with emphasis on what is happening in my place, because this is the place that is trending in the last 1 month. My own village of Yerota. They went there, they carried out their investigation, they made a documentary. They'll be showing the documentary, and some keynote speakers, of whom I'm one, will be talking about the persecution of Christians in my domain. That's exactly what I'm going to Washington for. The event will be taking place at the National Press Club.
And is there a website or someplace people can look to find out more information about it?
I think it's their website, truthnigeria.org, and equippingthepersecuted.org too, I think, yeah.
Well, Frank, again, I thank you so much for your time. Everyone on that's watching this video, I know I speak for my friend here. We're heartbroken, we're devastated, we're frustrated. But telling the story is the first step. So for now, my friend, God bless you,
Thank you very much.
and God bless your friends and family in Nigeria, my friend. For your time.
Yes. So, man. That is what is happening. That is what is happening. Christians are being attacked. Christians are being killed. And this is real. It's not a propaganda. It's real. They are killing Christians. They are killing Christians. And that is why I'm reminded of what the prophet Russell M. Nelson said at one time, that in the years to come, it will be very difficult for people to feel the Holy Ghost. Because a lot of things will be happening. A lot of things will be happening. And persecutions also are going to rage, and they're going to be in the higher scale. Higher scale. And that is, if you are not in tuned by what the Lord so requires of you, then things like this we will not actually be able to overcome. I remember one of the preachers at one time, some years back when I was still in school. And that was the time that we could not even imagine. We could not even imagine, because the population of the Muslims around our country was very low. During those days, in the 80s, the population of Muslims was very low. Even in our own villages, it was very hard for you to see a mosque. But this preacher man spoke when we were in school, and he said, there is a very big agenda about these people. In East Africa, they have an agenda to restore the kingdom of Sultan. It's called Sultan. Sultan. There is a certain sultan that was ruling around East Africa, and they say they want to restore that because the British are the ones who altered that. and they want to restore it. They say that Islam was the first in East Africa before even, Christianity. When the Christians came, they found Islam was there. And that's why most of the missionaries went inland, the inland, the inside part of East Africa, to start, establishing and beginning churches. And at the coast was actually Muslim dominated. And these people have that vision that they want to restore the kingdom of Sultan Majid into East Africa. And they're very strategic, very, very strategic. And I think I can see this is a reflection of what is happening in Nigeria right now, because they want to capture Nigeria. And like, if you've captured Nigeria, then you've captured East Africa. You've captured Africa, because Nigeria right now, it is the only densely populated of black people. Okay, densely populated country that has a lot of black people, because North Africa is fully Arabs now. It has been taken by Arabs. And when you look at parts of East Africa, like in Kenya now, we are mixed, because you find other races are coming in now in Kenya. South Africa, the same. Other races are actually dominating. They are also there. But now in Nigeria, it was only, Africans. And that's why if they feel if they capture Nigeria, then they are done with Africa, because the entire Africa will be a Muslim continent. And that preacher, man, those words he spoke, and every time I listen to events that are happening, things like these ones, what is happening, listen to what is happening in the Middle East, and you listen also to what is happening in other parts of Africa, I kind of think that this preacher, man, he was actually speaking with the eyes of an eagle. Because right now, Islam in East Africa is growing so tremendously. Even in my own village, they have a mosque there. And I don't say they're bad people. They're good people. They're very good people. But there are some who are using the Islamic principles to propagate terrorist agenda. You can imagine, how do you slaughter people and then you call the name of God? Because I know my fellow Muslims told me Allahu Akbar simply means God is great. But how do you say God is great while slaughtering people, spilling blood, and you say God is great? What God is that? Unless it's a demon that feeds on people's blood. And that's why by the time you call his name and you spill the blood, it comes to feed on blood. At times I wonder, because you cannot kill people and you call the name of God. You don't kill people in the name of your God. You don't spill blood. This is sad, my wonderful brothers and sisters. It's very sad. Otherwise, thank you very much. Looking forward to see you again next time. And for those who have not subscribed, kindly subscribe, because this channel is a channel where we share current events as we relate them with what the gospel of Jesus Christ is saying. So please, I will encourage you, subscribe. Kindly subscribe. Thank you very much.